So, I wanted to take a moment to discuss a few things that are definitely on my heart and mind. Now, my latest upload was not so well received with a lot of people, and I knew that that would occur. But one of the things that I was surprised about was the fact that people said it was out of my character, and they took it as though I was gossiping, okay? Now, quite frankly, you missed the point. But the fact remains that that was absolutely in my character. And I wasn't gossiping about those people necessarily, or I was just pointing out the things that I disagreed with about them and referenced how, in general, that type of approach doesn't resonate with my spirit. And in the end of the video, I even said as much. So maybe you didn't make it towards the end because you were so offended. And according to the analytics, you know, nobody really ever makes it to the end of my videos anyhow. So I'm not terribly surprised by that and the reaction to it, because the meat of it was at the end of the video. But what matters most to me in regards to those things is things like using the clickbait boobies and doing disrespectful things towards, you know, a place that already has enough challenges is unnecessary and egregious. It's egregious, and it's not something that I have identified with. The whole time that I've been posting, I've been keeping it clean and wholesome, and that was the point of me criticizing the clickbait boob master. You know who I'm talking about? I don't want to even name his name, but you know who it was, the second person in the title of the video. And mostly, I didn't step out of bounds. That is my nature. And if you are a person who believes, but you are not walking on what is called, according to Christ, the narrow path, then it's time for you to question what you're doing. In the Bible, it says, God will spit the lukewarm out of their mouths, out of his mouth, sorry. And what is the lukewarm? The lukewarm is the person who has the knowledge, has the beliefs, but doesn't adhere to them. You know, the analogy is, a guy comes before God and he says, God, didn't I do all these things in your name? Didn't I do all these things in your honor? But on the back end of it, he's got all these other things in his life that are not a representation of Christ or God. So my whole point of it is, if you are identifying with people such as him, and you're subscribing to him, you're subscribing to him and you're a regular viewer of his content, then you need to ask yourself, is that of Christ? Is that of something that you should be exposing yourself to? And in the end, are you going to be walking on the broad path or the narrow path? Now, does that mean that we're not going to make mistakes? Of course we are. Of course we're going to make mistakes. We're human beings. We're living in a world of temptation. It's everywhere. But do you want to support the things that are furthering the demise of other people? The people that don't know anything about God. The people that don't follow any of the commandments. Supporting a guy like that perpetuates and makes the world a worse place. 5 years ago, that kind of crap would have resonated with me. But I had a lot of stuff happen to me that broke me down and made me humble and brought me back on the right path. So you can think whatever you want about me stepping out of bounds or me gossiping or whatever. But ultimately, I've been watching this stuff for months, not watching it literally, but I've been seeing it come across my feed, and I've been criticizing it. And it's not just him, as was pointed out. There are, husbands that are exploiting their Filipina hot wives, going on the beach in their bikinis and putting those things in the thumbnails. These things, all of those things are selling a side of life of the Philippines that degrade morality. So that's the whole point of it in a nutshell. And it has been on my heart and my mind to speak more about it. I did. It backfired in theory, but my hope is that it resonated with at least one person and it gave them a different perspective. So whether you agree with it or not, God is in the center of my life, and he will remain so. And as I walk through this journey, I'm going to each and every person that I encounter, I am going to try to show Christ through my existence. And I'm not going to walk on that pathway of a sinful nature where you're doing things that make the world a worse place. We're here to make the world a better place. We're not here to encourage degradation, which is what I believe things like that do. Those are lures. Those are the pitfalls of the world that cause people to perpetuate things that should not be perpetuated. People see that kind of crap and they get lured in by the beauty and the sexuality and the sinful nature of it. And they come here with the wrong motives. They just do. You can deny it all you want. But a guy who's going on YouTube and talking up all, his conquests and all the pretty girls and using, boobies that are hanging out of their chest as enticement to click on his video, they are not bettering anything. They are selling a side of the world that degrades it. So you support that, you're not supporting a godly life. You're not walking with Christ truly. You're walking on the broad path. And that is biblical. That's the whole point of my post in the end, and it will remain so. And as I progress on, since this has come to the forefront, it will continue to be a theme. So whether you agree with it or not, now's the time where you either decide you're going to continue to follow along or you're going to leave, because you're going to be shown a side of life that does not perpetuate sinfulness and an evil approach. And you might sit here and think, man, this guy's a Bible thumper. Like they were calling me a Bible thumper. But I don't thump on any Bible, but I believe in the teachings of the Lord, and that is, I'm unashamed of that, and that is going to be more prevalent as I move forward. So unsubscribe if you need to unsubscribe, but I really hope that you stick around and you follow this journey with me, because God is in my center. God brought me to the Philippines. He brought me a beautiful, kind, godly woman who I can walk a path with that keeps me grounded and keeps me on the narrow path. And I'm not ashamed of that. I'm proud of that. And I'm a minority in this world, and I know that. If you talk about God in this society, people frown upon it. They look down on you. They think that you must be weak or you're not cool. Believe me, 5 years ago, I was of that mindset. And I was not someone that would ever have imagined that down the line I would be supporting Christianity. In fact, I was the exact opposite. In fact, I even spoke out against it on multiple occasions. But I can't change the past. I can only change the future. And that is going to be my approach moving forward. Because behind the scenes, that's what it has been. I don't show it, but hi there. But every day of my life, I pray to God and I say, God, bring someone in my path that I can be a benefit to. And every day, God brings somebody into my path that I can be a benefit to in one way or another, whether it's giving food or support or something. But there's a lot of people in this world that need a helping hand. And if I'm able to fill that void in some way, I'm an open vessel for it. And I'm willing and able. And if I'm not, I try to be. So that's essentially what matters to me in the world. Perpetuating the suffering and the demise is off-putting to me. And if I call it out and it bothers you that much, unsubscribe. Because it's definitely going to be something that I will touch on probably further down the line. I hate to see you go. I'd love for you to stick around, but you know, it's hard to answer all those comments. It's hard to stick to, you know, my habit of replying to everyone when everybody is attacking and saying negative things. But if you notice, I remain respectful. I don't step out of line. I try not to anyways. I'm not perfect. Some of that stuff does make me mad. Some of that stuff does get under my skin. But that's when I take a deep breath and I try to ground myself with my beliefs and my teachings, and I try not to step out of the lines. Some things that you're affronted with can be a big challenge, and that's the task that we've been given as people who believe to try to overcome. Not always going to be perfect with it, not always going to do everything correctly, but I'm going to try. And I might fail sometimes, but, you know, that's when I just have to ask for forgiveness. That's all I can do. And whether I'm forgiven or not by a human, I know ultimately I'm forgiven by, you know, the one that matters. As a Christian, if you're truly walking a stringent path, then you would be sensitive to sin. Those types of things would bother your spirit. They would. And if they don't, then you need to use that as a measuring stick as to where you're at with your walk. I'm probably not telling you anything you haven't heard before, but have you listened to the times when you've heard these things? Clearly you haven't. So now's the time when you do hear it that you finally listen. You can walk 1,000 miles away from God, but God will always be behind you. He will always be one step behind. It doesn't matter what you've done, what you've said, how far you've pushed him away. He's always right behind you. You may not see him, but he's right behind you, waiting for you to turn so he can embrace you and bring you into him. So it wasn't out of character for me to post that. In fact, it was completely in my character. And hopefully people will realize what they're lacking in life. And when they see that kind of stuff, they'll think twice. That's the agenda. That was the motive. So thank you for watching, guys. God bless you all, and have a great day.